All right, so I've rendered my views. Now what I want to do is render the full animation of my camera going around my model. And what I want to do is first, this backdrop is great for the rendered views because it gives me something for depth and to show some extra lighting behind my model. Now for this, I don't necessarily need it because it's going to look weird if I see the background and the background's not there anymore and so on. So what I'm going to do is actually hide that. And my background is in a separate layer. So in my channel box, I've created a layer for my backdrop that I can turn off right here. If you've done the same, you can do that as well. So you can turn on the V for visible, and then it's invisible. So you can do it that way. Another way that you can do this is to, on your plane, on your outliner, which is here, you can do that. You can hit H, and so it's hiding there as well. As long as it does not show from your rendered view, from your camera view, then you should be okay. And so when I open up my camera view here and look at my render, I can see that there's no backdrop. It's just my character here on the pedestal. So that is what I want to see, and that's what I'm going to render. I'm going to check my render settings here, make sure everything is going to render correctly first. So I'm going to click on this. I am still in Arnold. On my file output, a few changes need to be made. For image format, make sure that it reads PNG. And then a couple steps down, frame animation extension, I'm going to make sure that it says name number extension on that. So you can click on that, name number extension. It's the third one down for me. And then the frame range, I want to make sure that this is set at 1 and this is set at 120, which is the full length of our animation, that camera going around that loop. I'm going to scroll down to renderable cameras where it says camera, and I want to make sure it says camera and camera 1. And presets, I'm going to make sure it says 1080, HD 1080, and that's what I'm going to leave it as. Everything else can stay the same. I'm going to hit close. Make sure before you render out 120 frames that your scene is actually rendering out the way you want it to. And so check it first. Check the IPR up here, your interactive render, and see what it's going to show you. Right here, it's showing me my perspective shape. So I want to change that to camera shape. And so now it shows me from my camera's point of view what I'm seeing. So you want to make sure that that is set. Otherwise, you could end up with a really weird and cropped version of your character that you did not intend. So checking those settings are going to be very important. Now, this is what's going to do. It's going to go around every frame. It's going to render a new image. So what I'm going to do is basically start it at 1. I need to set up a project file for this scene as I render it. So I'm going to go to File, Project Window, and I'm going to create a new project, and I'm going to title it based on whatever my project is. And so right now, I would just name it Your Name and Maya. That is the name of our project that we're creating. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And it comes with, when you create this, it creates all of these folders within this project window. And so I'm going to hit accept, and that is set now. What I want to do is change over from the current mode that I'm in, which is animation. You might be in something else, and I'm going to change it to rendering. And now I have different setup here. I'm going to hit render here, and I want to render a sequence. And it pops up another window. Render sequence frame 1 through 120, which is what I have set up in my render settings. And it's set up current camera. You want to make sure it is camera 1. My alternate output file location, I'm going to select that. And it's going exactly where I want it to go. My personal drive animation folder, a folder that is titled Fulton-Maya, and inside of that is going to be an images folder, and that's where I want it to go. So I'm going to select, and I'm going to leave it at that. And when I hit render and close, basically what's going to happen is it's going to start rendering every frame one at a time. Once you start this, you want to make sure that you have plenty of time for this to finish. That might mean rendering at the beginning of class or as soon as you can. It could mean rendering early in the morning before class starts, or it could mean starting a render sequence at the end of the day so that there's plenty of time for it to render for the next time that you come in. So at this point, I'm going to stop because then I won't be able to control my video anymore. Once this starts rendering, your computer is pretty much useless because it's going to be, all the energy is going to be put into rendering your scene. So you'll hit render sequence and you'll leave it at that. Your computer is going to do its thing. And so the next video is going to pick up after these images have rendered out. And they're all going to be saved in this folder right here. So we'll see you next time with the rendered images.